I mentioned 8 quarterbacks in 8 seasons.
Yeah.
All right, starting in 2017, which was Kirk's last season here.
Mm-hmm.
The next year, it was Alex Smith.
Right.
The following year, due to Alex Smith's injury, it was Keenum. Then it was Dwayne Haskins. After Haskins, it was Ryan Fitzpatrick, who barely was on the field.
Yeah, there's some bad ones.
Then we had Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
That was a disaster. Sam Howell last year, and now Jayden Daniels. And we wanted to kind of have fun ranking them.
Well, it's pretty simple.
Let's start at the bottom. Do we come to a consensus on number 8?
Haskins.
Yes, I had Haskins.
Haskins is a joke.
Although I think you could make an argument for Fitzpatrick because he wasn't really on the field.
Fitzpatrick would be next.
Yeah,
he would be next, and he was a big disappointment. And it was kind of douchey on the phone when we brought up the hurting himself on the water slide thing, which is what I'm sure did happen.
I ranked him 7 because you never saw him.
Yeah, so we all agreed on 8 and 7.
Yeah, Fitz.
Dude, the early reports are he was struggling in camp.
Yeah, so I had him. I would actually like to rank 4 or 5 of them. 8.
Yes, equal.
Well, now because you're going to put Wentz.
But 7, I'll give Fitzpatrick.
All right, let's see if we're unanimous on 6. And if you want to chime in, 800-636-1067.
I think it's pretty simple.
I had Keenum 6.
I had Wentz 6.
Wentz 6. I think Wentz 6.
Wentz, I had 5.
I had Keenum 5. Okay, so we actually agree there. So then the top 4.
Well, Cousins is 1. I mean,
Cousins is 1 for sure.
I actually put Jayden Daniels number 1.
Come on.
I'm going to put Cousins. I'm going to put Cousins 1, Jayden 2, though.
Okay.
And then who's left?
Smith and Howell.
I ranked Smith above Howell because
as much as I hated,
boring.
As much as I
he was like a game manager, but if you looked at he was 11-5 as a starter, and he was 5-1 as a starter after he broke his leg.
I know, it's crazy.
I don't know how he did it.
I remember because I was doing post-game shows.
It was brutal.
Then it was NBC Sports Washington, or maybe it was even Comcast Sportsnet. But I was doing post-game shows after Alex Smith's games, and it was always like terrible stat line. He'd throw for 170 yards.
Yep.
Most boring
but he
game
wouldn't
ever.
He wouldn't turn the ball over.
And they would get a win.
Yeah.
All
right, so give props to the defense.
I got to put Alex Smith number 3.
And then, I mean,
he gets my bronze.
All right.
How 4.
Yeah.
So are we basically in agreement?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Bottom line is they've had some awful quarterbacks. They've had 29 starting quarterbacks in the last 24 years.
Right.
That's got to be a record.
I'm trying to think.
No teams had more than that.
To me, the biggest thing is when you take a swing with a first-round pick, you got to hit. Now, the RG3 thing hit for a year, but then it didn't. So you can't say overall it was a hit because when you draft a quarterback in the first round, you hope that's your quarterback for a decade plus.
Right.
When Haskins obviously didn't hit. A lot of these other guys were Band-Aids. Like for the last 4 years, even longer than that, it was a Band-Aid. It was like, oh, well, Alex Smith got hurt. I guess we're going to have to go with Case Keenum. All right, let's draft Dwayne Haskins. That didn't work out. Let's pick up Carson Wentz. Let's pick up Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like this is the future. If this doesn't work out, we've said it before, Dan Quinn doesn't work out, Adam Peters doesn't work out, and you're lost for another 5 years.
I'm not saying it wasn't partly his fault then I'm talking about Ron Rivera. But think about Ron Rivera. He inherited Haskins. All right, maybe they would have, if it was all up to him, he would have gone out and drafted, Tua or Herbert, one of those guys. Who knows? They took Chase Young. God, we've been down that road. But he had to play Haskins, Fitzpatrick, Wentz, Howell.
And Heineke. Played Heineke a bunch
and Heineke, yeah.
How do you win?
Wasn't a starter week 1, but
and I'm not saying it wasn't partly his fault because he went out and got some of these guys, but I guarantee they weren't the first choice.
The only thing I'll say in his defense is now it seems like teams don't care. They'll give up on a quarterback in 1 year.
Yes.
But back then, 5 years ago, it was still kind of like you're not going to give up on Haskins yet.
Well, I remember
I
remember Ron walked it back, but one of the most truthful things he said, and I can't remember exactly who asked the question and what the question even was, but his answer was quarterback. The question was something like, why aren't you as far along in a rebuild as some of these other teams that have turned it around quicker? And he said, in a moment of truth, and he tried to walk it back, he goes, quarterback. They didn't get a quarterback right.
Correct. That's what you got to get right.
I mean, it's a very simplistic view, but what's more important in your mind? The owner? Yeah, it's great. Got a new owner. Great. The GM? Great.
Right.
Great. Or the quarterback?
Got to have a quarterback.
It's the number one thing.
Well, and I kind of look at it in this way. Can the team continue to have bad quarterbacks? I almost look at it as a do theory play. And Daniels is obviously,
he checks all the
his
boxes.
Credentials coming out of college was awesome.
He checks all the boxes.
I know. So I got to think that this one's going to hit. I'm not saying he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be a superstar, but I think he's going to hit.
No, he's going to be very good.
He's going to hit for 5 to 7 years.
Drab, maybe you can help me. Valdez, you can help us. What quarterback that's last come into this league checked all the boxes like this guy and then didn't hit?
I mean, it kind of depends. Like you mentioned Zach Wilson before. Remember what people were saying after the combine and everything?
He didn't play at LSU and perform at this level. He was throwing the guys wide open. That was definitely a little bit of a crapshoot. He was athletic. You were more dazzled by his, he had the big arm and he could run. But he didn't have the resume that this kid has. This kid's resume is ridiculous. Give me a quarterback that checks. Like, honestly.
But what if he just ends up and he could end up being good, but what if he ends up being like Kyler Murray? Kyler Murray, I think, has been a little underwhelming.
A smidge. But,
and I would say similar college resume.
Yeah,
Heisman Trophy winner, a lot of success, big program, good competition. And he's been
He's had successful moments. But Kyler's still got the shrimp factor. That maybe, and also Kyler doesn't get into his playbook. They were embarrassing him with the contract negotiations.
Trevor Lawrence
underwhelming.
Has been underwhelming.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you say Bryce Young?
Who?
Bryce Young won a Heisman.
Bryce Young.
Now he's a smaller dude.
It's not over yet.
He's not the runner that Daniels is, but
I don't think he has he's a smaller guy, which I think hurts him, and I'm not sure he has the arm that.
But Bryce was a long time locked in number one pick.
Jayden
was the one with the big rise.
Who?
Jayden.
Yeah.
Over
the year.
Over the year. I mean, everyone knew Bryce Young was going to be a top pick.
Right, but Jayden is. But Bryce still was a smaller guy. You were just picking him because he was, he had a great college resume and awesome kid. Had all the intangibles.
I would say Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
And Mariota. Mariota won the Heisman.
Deshaun Watson, maybe he showed some flashes.
Deshaun was a stud before all the nonsense, though. He was top 5 quarterback, dude. Easy.
He was good.
Yeah.
What?
Baker Mayfield?
Baker had questions.
Yeah, smaller guy, not as athletic.
I'm thinking
it's not.
I'm not going to go where I did with RG3 yet, but I think he's pretty close. Bust proof. Pretty close. I don't see bust.
I mean, Jameis and Mariota were in the college football playoff, absolute stars, absolute studs.
Jameis is a clown. We all know what a clown he is. God bless him. He's the most entertaining guy in football. But stealing the crab legs. I mean, there were
you mean off the field
with
stuff.
Women, and there's been red flags with Jameis.
Okay,
there's no red flag
Trevor
with
Lawrence?
Sam Darnold.
I like the Trevor Lawrence.
What about Sam Darnold, number 3 pick?
There were questions about him. I remember having questions about Sam Darnold.
Not that much.
Accuracy.
I mean, most people thought that guy was going to be a stud.
They thought he had a big arm and he was a big guy, but there were questions.
Yeah.
Why are you
laughing
laughing
I think
at
there
me?
are some questions on Jayden about his size.
That's the only question is about how skinny he is. Everything else,
and
silly.
no, there was some question about pocket presence, like the sack percentage,
pressure to sack ratio, right? That's true.
Here's what's going on. You're making things up in your head, and you're doing a lot of revisionist history. Just say it.
I'm not doing any revisionist history.
Just say it. He's bust-proof. Put your nuts on the table.
Well, because the problem is I've already used that phrase.
He basically has.
I've used that phrase before. I don't want to. I wish I could come up with a new phrase.
But I do think there are other quarterbacks you can point to. They've named some. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota.
Those guys all had questions. I'm sorry, they just did.
They were supposed to be studs. All of them.
They were all.
They still had questions.
Trevor Lawrence was thought to be the number.
Trevor Lawrence is not. I agree with you.
But I'm saying he was thought to be the number 1 overall pick as a freshman.
A can't misser.
Correct.
I agree with you.
Now
there.
he's going to be the franchise quarterback for years, so you could look at it and go, all right, well, he's going to be a 10-year starter for one team. But he hadn't,
literally the only knock against Jayden, other than the pressure to sack ratio, which was just a stat nerd thing, and then the skinniness. Those are the only two knocks against him. Sorry.
Well, we'll see.
Sorry.
I know. Are you a fan of the Washington Commanders or the Washington Jadens?
The Washington Daniels.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You could say the same thing about Lamar. You would go to the wall for Lamar.
I'm a fan of the Ravens. I'm not a fan of the.
I'm a fan of the. That's it. That's a ridiculous question. I've gone through 29 quarterbacks. I go with all of them. I ride for all my quarterbacks. I'm just saying this one.
You're saying this one. This one looks the part.
This one's gonna miss. He checks all the boxes.
You better hope he does.
He checks all the boxes.
So if this one misses,
except for being skinny. Okay. He checks all the boxes. I'm sorry. I thought Robert did, but Robert turns out he didn't.
Are there going to be?
Hold on. We just did a segment. He doesn't slide. He takes big hits.
That's it. That's part of being skinny.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
He's skinny. He gets sacked a lot. They ran a wide open, go deep offense. I mean, you're acting like any weakness of him is any different than the other quarterbacks that came out.
I do.
There's no difference between Mariota and Jayden Daniels from when they first came out.
Well, I think those quarterbacks, I mean, aren't there a lot of questions about a lot of those quarterbacks out of the Pac-12 or whatever? Weren't there a lot of questions about those guys? I know Herbert is.
Well, your guy played in the Pac-12.
No, but he's pointing out these guys were all drafted
for 3
years.
In
the best conference in football.
Oh, he had one really, really good year.
I mean, I think you're just throwing out there were questions. What were the questions about Sam Darnold? He was a good prospect.
Accuracy. I remember that.
He's not the most athletic guy.
Okay, he was a big guy with a big arm.
But last July, your boy was a 5th-round draft prospect, according to Adam Peters.
Right.
So you can't say there's not question marks about him.
The questions are size, durability. That's the biggest question. But it just is.
I think he has the same question that all the quarterbacks have.
I think
is he going to be able to process? Is he going to be able to handle the pressure?
Processing is great.
But you don't know proven. That. You don't. How's it proven? He's playing against backups. He's playing against backups.
Okay, all right.
And he's throwing 10 balls.
All right, go on the record. These guys are against him.
No,
you guys are.
I'm just saying. I can't say he's a can't misser yet.
Did you see one pass over 10 yards this week?
What was your question?
One pass over 10 yards this week.
I'm not worried. What are you concerned with? You don't think he's accurate or strong enough? What do you think? I saw it against Diami.
If you put Jeff Driscoll in and ran the same plays, it probably would have been 10 for 12 as well.
Maybe.
I got to see him do it consistently against starters for 4 quarters, not against backups for half a quarter.
I'm on Sam Darnold's scouting profile when he came out. First strength, naturally accurate passer. Fits passes into tight windows.
I know for me, I was not on the Sam Darnold bandwagon when he came out.
Excellent ball placement.
Yeah,
Throws catchable ball. Pocket presence. Has poise.
What are they saying in the negatives? Read the negatives about Darnold.
Ball security. Too many fumbles. Had confidence issues in 2017. Doesn't secure ball when getting sacked.
All right. Okay. I'm all in on my guy. I think my guy's pretty close to bust proof.
Sam Darnold he turned the ball over a lot. He threw a lot of interceptions. So I don't know how good his ball placement, his accuracy was.
Well, his completion percentage was 1% different than Jayden Daniels.
He didn't play a lot either. I mean, he played 2 years.
I think that was one thing.
So he was Drake May, basically.
Yeah.
But Drake May's a better athlete. Look, all I'm saying is I can't watch a guy play a half a quarter, maybe a quarter total against backups and go, oh, he's Hall of Famer.
I didn't say Hall of Famer.
He's a can't misser.
I didn't say Hall of Famer. I think
basically what you're saying is a can't misser.
Well, just remind me. Give me one of the passes beyond the pass to Diami Brown that's gone past 10 yards so far in the preseason.
Maybe the McLaurin pass.
No, that was just like a 6 or 7 yard out, and then McLaurin had yards after the catch. I'm saying air yards.
Yeah, air yards. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't remember one. I'm sure there was one, but I can't remember.
I have no concerns about his ability to complete passes downfield. Zero.
No, but Eric,
he has the ability, but we don't know if he's going to make those tight window throws. He's going to make good decisions. Like Daniel Jones' second interception this week was a very similar pass to his pass to De'Ami Brown. Now, his pass to De'Ami Brown, that's not was perfect, but there was a corner right there, right? Mm-hmm. In the case of Daniel Jones, maybe it was slightly underthrown. The corner made a play, the receiver didn't make a good enough play, and it ends up being an interception. Mm-hmm. Like, we have to see more than that.
It was better. It was outside. There was no one. The corner couldn't make a play on it.
I agree. Look, I gave him an A-, and I was basically nitpicking for this preseason work. But I haven't seen that much. We saw a hell of a lot from Sam Howell last year, and some people were buying in on him.
We just did a segment about the 29 starting quarterbacks. I'm telling you, he's not going to be like these guys.
Hey, I'm the only one that ranked Jayden Daniels ahead of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
You guys had number 2.
Well, then you should be agreeing with me. He's not like any of these other guys.
I'm wary. And the statistics are, EB, the statistics are, it could be wrong, that of the first-round draft picks.
And I've disagreed with that all year. I've disagreed with that all year.
The majority of them are going to bust.
I disagree with
Different definitions of bust.
I've gone on record saying I think all these guys are going to hit.
If Kyler Murray's career ended right now, I would say it was a bust.
They're not all going to hit.
Expected more.
Bo Nix is going to hit.
No, they're not going to all hit.
JJ will be good. Jaden's going to be good, and Caleb will be good.
I'll bet you any amount of money.
Now you're on Caleb?
No, I think he's flashy. He's going to make flashy plays. I think he's going to throw a lot of interceptions.
Now, when you say they're all going to hit, so
they're going to be starting
all 6 of them are all going to.
I don't know about Penix. I don't know when the hell he'll ever play. I'm taking him out of the equation because that's the dumbest pick in history.
Cousins is going to play till he's 50. He's going to.
Okay.
He's got like a 2-year contract.
He's got the majority being good.
Yes.
Versus the trend of
I'll go against
half of them busting.
Right. I think it's impossible for 6 guys going in the first round to all be silly. I mean, that's just not going to happen.
It didn't happen in '83.
But you were 13.
Okay, it's a legendary year.
It's a lot different league. The league is a lot different. I'm just going to go with history and say multiple guys that were drafted are going to be backups in 5 years.
My guy's not going to miss.
Let's hope not.